Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un put their friendship on display in Vietnam as they meet for round 2 of denuclearization talks. Will there be a round 3? And back home, the president's former attorney and fix-it man, Michael Cohen, provides multi-day testimony on Capitol Hill, but for a deeply divided electorate, has Cohen's testimony moved the political needle in any direction? Let's start there as two political experts and former members of Congress join me. In Washington, Bob Livingston, former Republican representative from Louisiana, author of the book The Windmill Chaser, Triumphs and Less in American Politics. And in Miami, Patrick Murphy, former Democratic member of Congress from Florida, one of the first millennials elected to Congress, now chairman of the political nonprofit group Future Forum Foundation. All right, Bob, we'll start with you. President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, has been testifying. What's been your reaction?
Well, I think it'll probably be quickly forgotten. I don't think there's any bombshells and anything that I've heard, but time will only tell. Mr. Cohen's going to prison. He's been charged with lying before Congress in the past. And I got to believe that anybody puts a lot of credibility in what he's had to say this time is probably going to be believing in the tooth fairy. But that said, Larry, the timing of the Cohen testimony is really suspect. I mean, the president is in his second meeting with the head of North Korea and Kim Jong-un. And we don't know whether or not those talks will be successful, but he's accomplished already more than any of his predecessors, Republican or Democrat, in the White House. And I think that, frankly, decency on the part of the Democrat majority in the House of Representatives would have led them to just defer the Cohen testimony for a few days until after this Vietnam experience.
Patrick, when the mafia convictions occurred, and there were many in the 70s and 80s, it always required people inside the mafia to testify against those who were not in trouble and in trouble. There were people in jail. It's not uncommon for an insider like Michael Cohen to testify against those in the inner circle, right?
Absolutely not. And we should keep this in perspective. If it was just Michael Cohen and you wanted to discredit him, that would be one thing. But there's now, 12, 13, 14 senior members of the Trump campaign that are indicted, going to jail, in jail already. So this is a series of events. At a certain point, you got to start to wonder what's really going on. And yeah, I got to push back a little bit on this comment about the timing of this investigation, as if that's what we should be focused on when we have all of this happening. You know, let's not forget, this is in large part inspired by the Senate, who called for these hearings to happen with Michael Cohen, which of course is controlled by Republicans. The House is now following on the heels of those questions with Michael Cohen. But to try to divert the attention to the timing as if that's the conspiracy, when we have so many bombshell allegations against this president, many of which are being verified with numerous other investigations in the House now, finally, with the Mueller investigation, which I'm sure is going to come out soon, and Mr. Cohen coming out with hard evidence that there was hush payments made. Even if that's not your biggest concern, you should probably be pretty concerned that our sitting president was in talks with Russia during the campaign to get information. This is the epitome of hypocrisy for Republicans to sweep this under the rug.
Bob, isn't the actions of the president at least a little embarrassing?
Larry, I'll give you that. There's lots of stuff about this president that's embarrassing, just as there were about Obama or Clinton or anybody else.
How many Obama officials went to jail?
Actually, I think a few may, but that's not the point. And I didn't interrupt you, so please give me a chance to respond. The fact is, taking a lot of inconsequential, irrelevant charges against other people for other things that have nothing to do with Trump and bundling them all in a ball and saying, well, it's Trump's at fault and it's all his fault. And by the way, he talked with the Russians. Mueller's been investigating this thing for 2 years. He's going to come out with a report. And I think you, Mr. Murphy, are going to be sorely disappointed in that it's a shoo-shoo. That's what we call a firecracker that doesn't go off. This is a lot to do about nothing. And I think that, unfortunately, the setting of this hearing, while President is trying to bring peace between the North and South Koreans and to avoid nuclear war, is incredibly unseemly.
Well, I hope for the sake of our democracy and our country that there is nothing there and that this is political theater. But again, after over 10, 12 people now have gone to jail, you got to wonder if there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm really excited for the next Democratic administration to take over and the leeway that they're going to have from Republicans with the new standard that's going to be set. It's going to be exciting to watch.
I bet you would have been excited if the FBI had done their job and brought charges against Hillary Clinton, too.
Well, hey, if someone does something wrong, they should be penalized for it, and that's the fact, whatever it is. There were 8 House investigations into Hillary in the alleged Benghazi investigations, and they all found nothing. That's going to be much different than the investigations
blindfold on
we see here.
justice is cocked, and one justice has not been blind. But the fact is, everybody has been throwing stuff at Trump, including most of the media. And it's just unfortunate, though. I go back to this Cohen thing. Coming up on the day that he's meeting Kim Jong-un is just disgraceful.
All right. On that note, Patrick, what do you expect from the Kim Jong-un meeting?
Well, of course, we want to see progress here. There is no doubt that there is an opportunity for progress, and that is because of many years of sanctions. I'm glad that the president is taking this opportunity to have a second meeting. But this can go 2 very different directions right now. If the president is looking for theater, if he's looking to shore up his foreign affairs credentials, if he's looking to distract from the Mueller investigation or these Cohen testimonies, there might be another photo op, there might be another tweet that we've solved the nuclear threat of North Korea. That would be a big mistake, in my opinion, and a loss. I hope that we move toward an interim deal that freezes all movement by North Korea, which of course hasn't happened from the last meeting with Trump. And Trump is now going against all intelligence agencies and continuing to trust Kim Jong-un over his own intel agencies. Put that aside for a second, though, because we should move toward a deal that is verifiable, that has numerous countries, very similar, in fact, to the Iran deal, where we had full purview into what is happening there. Anything short of that, anything short of stopping their nuclear proliferation 100% is a mistake for this country and a very bad precedent to set.
I'm sure glad you said that, because I was thinking the same thing when Obama left office and this guy was shooting rockets up into space and across Japan. The fact is, Obama did absolutely nothing. This is the second meeting, not the first, the second meeting, and the second meeting that any president has had in the last 50 years with this. There's a possibility we could end the Korean War. If that's not a pretty good opportunity, I don't know what is. But then you would rather have the Cohen hearings.
No, but I love how a meeting now qualifies as a nuclear deal based on tweets and completely disregarding our intelligence. So the last meeting till now is complete nonsense, as I think you would agree, unless you're siding with Trump over the intel agencies. I'm not sure.
Bob, do you trust Kim Jong-un?
No, I don't. Not as far as I can throw him. And Reagan used to say, trust but verify. But Reagan also went to the table with Gorbachev, and the Soviet Union collapsed. I'm not going to prejudge this thing. I don't know whether it's going to work or not work, but I think it's got a lot better chance than any predecessor, Republican or Democrat, has gotten.
Both hoping for the best.
Patrick, in recent days, the president signaled he's moving toward a resolution of a trade standoff with China. You think that's going to turn out well, Patrick?
I hope so. I hope for the best, of course. I was actually very optimistic that with the new administration, we could have a broader TPP, where we had a large pact with numerous countries surrounding China, putting them really in a box and hoping for a better trade deal. We, of course, have pulled out of that, which could go down as one of the biggest mistakes in this administration long term, but we hope not. And now negotiations with China one-on-one, I'm hopeful for. That is, of course, one of our biggest competitors and biggest opportunities if we play our cards right. and really looking toward the future. Whether that's artificial intelligence and then the sharing economy and technology. And we are in the middle of this technological revolution right now. We can't be thinking about jobs of yesterday and 2-3 decades ago. We've got to be thinking forward because China sure is. So I'm hopeful that this deal encapsulates all of that. And is a good deal for America. The fact that it was delayed doesn't bother me at all. I'm hoping for the best deal for America.
Bob, the House voted to terminate President Trump's declaration of a national emergency. You would have voted the other way, were you in Congress, correct, Bob?
Yeah, I would just like to stop the hemorrhaging of the people across the border, not just the immigrants from all over Latin America, but also the drug runners and the human traffickers. And I think to not call that a national emergency, in my mind, is just fallacious. It's foolish. But as far as the people are here concerned, I frankly don't have any problem with leaving them here as long as they obey the law. It would take something like $50,000 a person to start deporting them, and there may be 20 million people who are here illegally. So I'm not really as concerned about the ones that are here, but I want to stop the border. And if anybody says that's not a national emergency, they're just fooling themselves.
Patrick?
It's all relative, of course. When the national security agencies put out their top threats to America, there was no indication of this emergency on that list. It wasn't even hinted at, nor has it for many years. This is a problem, if you want to call it that, from 15, 20 years ago that should have been addressed then, and we can point the finger at numerous administrations. And to think that this is all of a sudden an emergency in the last 2 years calls into question why the president didn't declare this 2 years ago when there was a Republican House and a Republican Senate. I wonder, Mr. Livingston, if you can shine a light onto that. Why now do this, if not
if you're going to go back 2 years,
purposes?
why not go 40? Well, what happened to George H.W. Bush? What happened to George W. Bush? What happened to Bill Clinton? What happened to Obama? They didn't declare it a national emergency, and people kept pouring over. I'm not worried about the past. I'm talking about now. And to just simply say, because we didn't do it before, we shouldn't do it now is wrong.
Okay, well, it's politics. It's theater. The president wants to draw a very clear divide between his base and Democrats and moderates in our country, so he can have something to talk about and point to something
Wait. It was Nancy Pelosi who said a wall is immoral. She didn't say the wall around her house is immoral. She didn't say the wall around Israel is immoral, but she said the wall on the southern border, even though on San Diego there's a wall there. A wall is immoral? That's ridiculous.
Thank you both very much. Always good seeing you.
Thanks, Larry.
Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.